Welcome, I'm Julie Thompson. PACTV is providing the candidates for the Board of Selectmen in the town of Pembroke this opportunity to let the voters get to know them. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes for a candidate's statement, wherein they will outline their campaign message. They will then be asked 2 questions and have 2 minutes to answer each of those questions. There are 3 candidates running for 2 positions for this office. Our first candidate is Becky Coletta. Welcome, Becky.
Welcome. Hi, Julie.
Thanks for joining us today. Please proceed with your candidate statement. You will have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Becky Coletta, and I'm running for one of 2 open seats on the Pembroke Board of Selectmen. We are at a critical juncture in Pembroke. We have 2 experienced selectmen retiring, a newly hired town manager, and an unprecedented public health crisis that we need to emerge from. As an attorney, a small business owner, parent, taxpayer, and an elected official, I have the experience and know-how our town needs to guide us through these challenging times. I'm running to bring my experience to serve the town as a volunteer. As a former member of the Board of Selectmen in Hanson, I've seen the challenges and opportunities of this position, and I've trained in municipal finance. As your next selectman, I'll seek creative, fiscally responsible solutions to address our town's challenges. At the outset, we need to first address the budgetary and economic impacts of the current crisis. Drawing upon relationships that I have developed within our community and in the county and state government, I will work to pull in resources outside of our town to soften the impact on Pembroke taxpayers to support our needs. As the town's delegate to the Old Colony Planning Council, I see the grant and planning opportunities that we can build upon. I also see that we need to go to Boston with our State House and Senate delegation to advocate for the needs of our community, and I see a power in doing this with our neighboring communities. I would like to see us pursue economic development and other grant programs to fill in the gaps without simply raising our taxes or cutting services. We will also need to work with businesses in town to support our local economy and the small businesses that are so vital to our community. Beyond the finances, we also need to ensure that our community develops a shared vision that makes us stronger as we move forward. As a member of the Pembroke Planning Board and chair for the last 2 years, I see that much of what we do in planning has been reactive to the proposals that businesses bring to us. We have worked to modify zoning bylaws to address issues and provide opportunities that have arisen, but we have a master plan that is 15 years old and we don't have a town planner. Funding for these items will be limited, so we will need our selectmen and town manager to work on developing a shared vision for our town. I will bring the skills I have developed as an Old Colony Planning Council member, as an attorney, as a social worker, and as a planning board member to do the work needed to bring our community together to create a vision for our future. My family moved to Pembroke when my son was born 13 years ago. We have made this community our home. Since moving here, I've been active in our community through the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce and as a member of the Planning Board, in addition to supporting local charitable organizations. A couple months ago, my son told me that he feels like he is growing up in a big campground in Pembroke, a place where younger kids are free to explore our trails and open spaces, fish in our ponds, and play basketball at the community center, which I hope they can restart soon. In all that we do, we need to maintain our focus on preserving our quality of life so that our children's children can enjoy the community as much as our families do now. I hope to have your vote on June 20th for the Pembroke Board of Selectmen.
Thank you. Here's your first question. How would you differentiate yourself from your 2 opponents? And you will have 2 minutes.
So I think what differentiates me first is my diversity of experience. I have worked in business as a leadership team in larger and smaller businesses, international, national, and local businesses. I also have municipal experience as a selectman of a neighboring town, as a planning board member, and as an Old Colony Planning Council delegate. With that diversity of experience, I also add in social work skills with community visioning and behavioral health, which is a whole nother need that I haven't even had time to talk about. So I have a diversity of experiences that I can bring to this position to benefit our town. You know, right now when we're in the middle of a crisis, we sometimes forget that people still have behavioral health needs. Our seniors still need support more than ever, that we still need to provide a quality educational program for our children, that we need to support housing for people who can't all the time afford to live here on normal salaries. So there's a lot of work that goes into running a town, into building our community. I think the diversity of experiences I've had throughout my life will help me to provide benefit to the town. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you. Okay, question number 2. What are your 3 top priorities for the town in light of the current situation, and how do you plan to fulfill them? Again, you will have 2 minutes.
So the first priority is to support municipal services and businesses as we try to safely reopen. Recently, there's been the issue about restaurants having outdoor seating to help them come back up to a viable business plan. On the recent planning board meeting, we actually delegated some of our authority to review minor changes to site plans and, safe outdoor seating to our planning board assistant so that we can try to expedite, working with MEMA, that we can expedite those approvals to make sure that our businesses, like our restaurants, can get up and running as soon as possible from this crisis. I also feel that we don't, in terms of like town government, we don't know how soon it'll be safe to have 30 people in a small meeting room, right? That could be a while. So I've been working to make sure that the planning board can have a more robust presence on Zoom so that we can, even in our last meeting and in our next meeting, we will be allowing members of the public to participate directly in Zoom, trying to bring back services as robustly as we can, even given the limitations of this crisis. Also, I think that as we go through trying to make spending cuts, trying to bring in funds through grant programs like the Old Colony Planning Council and other sources, we need to make sure that we maintain our vision for the future, that we don't lose sight of the fact that this is a temporary condition that we need to get through without decimating our municipal services, our schools, or the other services we provide for people. We also need to keep in mind that as a town, we need to help bring in behavioral and social supports for those older citizens, for those who have financial or behavioral health needs, and could use a little bit extra support from town and from government. So those are my 3 priorities.
Thank you,
that I would
Becky.
bring to the position.
Okay, that's been 2 minutes, thank you. That was Becky Coletta. We now welcome Steve Curley. Welcome, Steve.
Hello.
Good to have you. Please proceed with your candidate statement. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'd just like to introduce myself. I've had 12 years as on the advisory, 20 years on the advisory, 12 as chairman, 6 as clerk and vice chair. Treasurer of the Pembroke Historical Society, Pembroke Public Library Foundation, and the Pembroke Celebrates in town. I'm currently president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, Our Lady of the Lake Conference. We run a food pantry there. Gave out about 100,000 meals last fiscal year. And at this point, I am retired. I was the CFO of a major company with over 550 employees. My background is a degree in accounting, and I worked as an accountant, controller, CFO in my entire career. I am the only candidate that has a financial background, and none of the other current members of the Board of Selectmen have any sort of financial background, which I think is an important aspect of what we're facing, given everything going on right now. And I know I didn't take the entire 3 minutes, but I think I gave a pretty good background.
Okay, thank you. Your first question. How would you differentiate yourself from your other 2 opponents? You have 2 minutes.
I'm the only candidate with experience in the full operation of the town of Pembroke. The 20 years experience working for the interests of the taxpayers on advisory. I met with every single department in town that has any sort of a budget. So I've gotten exposure to the entire town. There's a loss of institutional knowledge in the town. The new town manager and the 2 longtime Board of Selectmen members going, we've lost a lot of institutional knowledge. And my experience gained tremendous support, especially during the current crisis. I'm not a one-trick pony. I have years of experience. It's not just within the town, but volunteering for the other charitable causes. causes. It gives me a further perspective as to what's going on in the community and what people want. And I apologize for not taking the full time.
Okay, no problem. And your second question, what are your top 3 priorities for the town in light of the current situation, and how do you plan to fulfill them? You have 2 minutes.
Well, I think the biggest thing is saving jobs within the town during the severe revenue disruption that we're getting right now. We're experiencing a major disruption, and one of the big ones, of course, is the meals tax. The estimate is $50,000 in the current year and $260,000 drop next year, along with a number of other areas, including a projected and estimated $700,000 drop in state aid. So what we have to do is save jobs as much as town. So I would want to work with the finance team to find the alternatives within the budget. You know, I've done this type of thing before. Back in 2003, the town had a $2,357,000 cut in state aid. And you know, from Wednesday to Monday, I completely rewrote the budget, got it approved by advisory, and presented at the town meeting on the Tuesday. So I have experience in actually working through this kind of major disruption. Then you want to work with the regulatory boards, the health, zoning, planning, building inspectors, and everything else to try and protect the small business in town. You know, and one particular example is the health agent mentioned allowing outdoor seating for the restaurants so that they could have a lot more people in terms of what they can do under the 25% with the reopening. But there's other things we can do and try and work with everyone to get on the same page. And then the third one is working with the town manager, William Shenardes, get him up to speed as fast as possible. And given the short-term crisis we're having, it's important that he get up to speed quickly, and that my institutional knowledge and my knowledge of the history of the town, I think, will come in handy in meeting with him and trying to work through this.
Thank you. That was Stephen Curley. We welcome today Tracy Marino. Welcome, Tracy.
Hi, thank you, Julie.
Please proceed with your candidate statement. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Tracy Marino, and I'm running for a seat on the Pembroke Board of Selectmen. I grew up in Quincy, attended St. Gregory High School in Dorchester, and returned to college as an adult, where I earned my LPN. I then moved to Pembroke in 1997 with my eldest daughter and no intention of staying long. However, Pembroke grew on me quickly, and I found that this was the only place for us. My husband Phil and I now have 5 children ranging in age from 8 to 25 and a 2-year-old grandson. We have 2 children still in elementary school at Bryantville and couldn't imagine raising our family anywhere else. Since then, I have proven myself a loyal, dedicated, and hardworking member of our community. I've spent over 20 years volunteering for various boards, committees, and causes, including Open Space Committee, Pembroke Titans Against Drugs, Meals on Wheels, and Pembroke Youth Soccer. I've held leadership roles as both communications coordinator and president of the Bryantville PTO, communications coordinator of Pembroke Education Foundation, vice president for Friends of the Pembroke Library, and most recently, I've helped establish and currently co-chair our new CPAC in Pembroke, which is a special education advisory council. 8 years ago, I built and still maintain a successful photography business here in town, and I also currently work as a school bus driver for First Student. I have in turn spent these same years building positive relationships with residents, fellow small business owners, and volunteers and leaders of the community. I believe that building relationships and trust is a vital ingredient in being in any leadership position. I am asking for your vote for Board of Selectmen on June 20th because I am passionate about our town and, more importantly, the people in it. I am firmly invested in its well-being, and I feel I can best represent the many different voices and populations of Pembroke. Thank you.
Thank you. First question. How would you differentiate yourself from your 2 opponents? You have 2 minutes.
I feel that my extensive background in community service, which includes PTO Council, Pembroke Education Foundation, Pembroke Science Fair, Council on Aging, Meals on Wheels, Open Space, Friends of the Pembroke Library, Best Buddies, A Night to Shine, Pembroke Titans Against Drugs, Pembroke Youth Soccer, CPAC, Pembroke Celebrates, and everything in between there has gifted me the ability to see and relate to the many different perspectives of the residents of Pembroke. This community service and my leadership role on various boards has also taught me that we must consider these differences when communicating, making decisions, educating, and reaching out to the general public. Communication should always be thorough, transparent, and inclusive. I believe my long history of involvement with volunteer commitments proves I am not only a hardworking and contributing member of the community, but someone who will listen and do what is in the best interest of all.
Thank you. And your second question, what are your top 3 priorities for the town in light of the current situation, and how do you plan to fulfill them? You again have 2 minutes.
My 3 top priorities. First would be addressing the financial state of our town, which has only been made worse by COVID-19. Part of that being our small businesses needing to recover after this. I would plan to work with the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce to reach out to our business owners and assess their needs to decide how we could best assist them moving forward. My second priority would be that our long-term planning and capital planning are in need of some attention. I would advocate for improved collaboration between Board of Selectmen, advisory and school committees, and the finance team to improve the budget process and the town's financial situation. And third, I feel that it is important that we be as inclusive as possible, not only in town government, but as a person in any leadership position. This would contribute to more voices being heard. I would love to work on getting more residents involved in our town government. I would do this by keeping active and informative on social media, continuing my volunteer work in the community where I would remain accessible and available. I would also like to implement an idea a past board member had shared to set up scheduled times to sit and chat with residents. I think recent events have made it very clear that we need to work together to address the needs of all of the citizens of Pembroke as a whole.
Thank you. That's been Tracy Marino. Please remember to vote in the Pembroke Town election scheduled to be held on Saturday, June 20th. I'm Julie Thompson for PACTV. Stay informed, keep it local. Good day.